their content was drastically different than what I was posting. I thought the cooler you could have your intro, the better. The thing that I learned the most from those agents that were already doing this for me was that you had to be very consistent.
What was that first video you did on YouTube?
What's up? REVB Podcast coming to you with another episode jam-packed with content ideas. Katie Day with my lovely co-host, Timothy Macy. And we are excited.
Lovely.
You look lovely. We are excited to dig in with our guest this week, hailing from Georgia, Sarah, our YouTube star. What's going on?
Awesome. I like how you did not say my last name.
Wait, Maslowski?
Yes. It is the worst last name that you can have. Not the worst, but pretty bad for a real estate agent. It just doesn't roll off the tongue. It's not good for branding.
It's memorable, if anything. Out of curiosity, you're married, right?
I am. Yeah, I inherited or married into that name.
Okay, so you chose to switch your name.
This was prior to me being a real estate agent. Had I known that I was going to get in real estate, I would have stayed with the maiden name for sure.
What was your maiden name?
Oh, I wasn't sure. She was like, if I knew I was going to get into real estate, I wouldn't have.
Just would have picked a whole different person.
Yeah. If I would have known I would have been getting into real estate, I wouldn't have married my spouse.
Yeah.
Would have found a better person with a better last name. You know?
That's right. Like a Smith or a Johnson. Yeah.
Well,
sorry, we do like to have a little fun, Sarah. A little fun.
Your spouse.
Well, thank you for having me.
Last name. So, welcome to the pod, Mrs.
Thanks.
Maslowski. It's good to see you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's dig in. I'm excited to have some like one-on-one time with you. I'm just considering this to be like you're in my conversation. Tim is also present, but post real estate video blueprint, because I feel like you touched on a lot as far as YouTube, but I'm excited to kind of dig deeper on your journey and things like that. And so for people that weren't at Blueprint this year, can you talk a little bit about your journey, like getting into real estate, and then kind of how you got to your content mix and what you do today as far as getting business?
Yeah, totally. So I got my real estate license in 2018, spent 6 months working on a team, kind of got a good idea of somewhat of what it meant to be a real estate agent. Thought I could go out and do it on my own, and learned that first year in real estate of being solo, just how hard it was to work leads and cultivate your own leads. And it was incredibly hard. It was a year of nothing but grinding, hustling, and picking up business from all over the place. I was fairly new to my town at the time that I got licensed. And so I didn't have a big sphere. So it was a lot of open houses, a lot of cold calling, expireds, anywhere and everywhere that I could pick up a closing or two. That's what it was. And also at that same time, I started hearing like, you need to incorporate more video into your marketing strategy. I tried a little bit of everything. Well, as much as everything is that you could try back then. I say back then. So TikTok and Instagram Reels wasn't really a thing back then. So mostly it was just putting it on Facebook, going live on Facebook, and wasn't really getting anywhere with that. Wasn't seeing a return, or no one was reaching out to me. So I signed up for this really expensive training course for video. And it was all about making videos on Facebook and running ads behind them. And thought I was making headway with that, but did not have any success. And I also found that running ads behind videos was very expensive in order to get eyeballs on them, because the algorithm was quickly changing. But it was going down that journey and putting myself out there that led me to another agent that said that he knew someone that was having success on YouTube. And I was like, what is this? And so I went, joined this Facebook group, met some other agents that were having success with YouTube content. And I was like, but wait, I'm putting these same videos that I have on Facebook onto YouTube. I'm trying it and it's not working. What are they doing so magically different than what I'm doing?
And so just to interrupt, I was going to apologize, but I'm just going to do it anyways. When you were putting these videos on YouTube, when you say the same videos, were you putting like long form, like these are 5 reasons why you should move to this suburb of Georgia kind of videos onto Facebook?
No.
Or what videos were you putting on Facebook?
I wasn't even aware of what type of content. So the training course that I was taking was talking about like how to buy and sell a home,
Okay. Yeah. So the boring
property
shit.
tax things that you
Yeah.
needed
Yeah.
to know,
Yeah.
just general stuff. And then also like restaurant business highlights in the town. So interviewing
Yeah.
the owner of the barbecue restaurant, which
For
I
sure.
did that.
Yeah.
And nobody called me to help them buy a house because of that video. So I put those on both Facebook and YouTube. I was
Okay.
also putting listing videos on Facebook and YouTube. And again, with not hardly any success. So whenever I found these other agents that were having success with YouTube, the one thing that was like very apparent was that their content was drastically different than what I was posting. And all of their content was targeting relocation buyers, and it was all about their town, different neighborhoods, what you needed to know, and nothing about like a listing video or a local restaurant owner or the top 5 fall festivals in the area. So that was what was currently on my channel. And I was like, oh, this is really different.
One thing I love about your story is it's one of the reasons I think we started Video Blueprint was you go to all these conferences and they're like, agents need to do video.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Like they don't tell you what video to do. They don't tell you like what topics you should hit on and how you should be doing it. And so I love that journey because although it seems like you probably did waste a lot of time doing a lot of these things, it was all part of your journey that led you to what your right thing was.
Yeah. So I thought about this the other day. I was in some group and they said, it takes 1,000 failures to be successful. And we always think that this journey to success is instant or they just have something that you don't, but it's, someone willing to go through all the failures. And I used to look at me spending that money on that really expensive video course as a huge mistake. But had I not gone down that path, I would never have found these agents that were doing YouTube that led me to what I'm doing now. So everything is interconnected and you have to be willing to, fail at some things to find the right thing or to get better.
I love that. So we messed around with some restaurant videos and some listing videos, some paid ads on Facebook and everything else. What was that first video you did on YouTube that the light bulb went off and said, oh my goodness, I think this thing may work?
So I don't know if it was necessarily one video, but it was the strategy of making relocation-based content. So the thing that I learned the most from those agents that were already doing this before me was that you had to be very consistent and you had to post a video every single week. So if you go back and look at my analytics from whenever I was posting those same Facebook videos, it was very sporadic, every 6 weeks. And then I would post 1 or 2 and, you get distracted and you give up. So what I learned from these other agents is that you had to be super consistent. And for me, it was kind of like one of those moments where I've tried a lot of different things, but I never really have given any one strategy like 100% effort and 100% dedication. So I told myself, okay, what if this is the one time you really try to see if we can make this happen? And let's do it for 90 days and we're not going to give up. Like 100%, you can't quit. Even if nothing ever happens from this, you just have to do it. So I made that commitment to myself. And so started looking at what these other agents were doing and duplicating their content for my area. So just essentially taking their exact video titles and their content style and inserting myself in with the areas that I serve. So that was my journey on how to get started. And those first videos were so bad. I tried to edit the videos myself. And that was a huge mistake. It got done. So done is better than perfect. And going through that process, I realized I've made this commitment to put out, essentially 12 videos over the next 12 weeks. And there's no way that I can keep this up. So I quickly learned you got to hire an editor and you got to get someone that can take that off your plate because I didn't want to be up at 11 o'clock at night, trying to figure out how to move something on the screen. And so it was a good 6 weeks of consistently posting those videos before I got my first reach out, which in hindsight seems very fast. And at the time it felt so slow, or it felt like, what I was doing was not working.
No, I think that's really fast. Like, I normally tell people that like 45 to 60 days to 6 months is like kind of the time frame that most people will start to see actual leads, because I feel like it sounds as if you picked like the right topics. So when you're like, okay, I'm doing YouTube, I'm going to do this right. You like picked the right topics so that like the algorithm served up your videos to the right people. Too many people, I feel like, do what you did before you found YouTube. And it was like, I'm just going to post every single video on my YouTube channel and see what happens kind of thing. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so that was my first time actually posting on YouTube with a specific strategy in mind, with proof that someone else had already done this and it was successful. I also think part of it, the timing was right too. So this was in the fall of 2020, right on the cusp of COVID. I'm sorry, like everything's a blur at that time period, right? Whenever that happened.
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot of benefit to, the views then, because, people were becoming more mobile and seeking out other places to live.
For sure.
But I think if I could go back in that journey and tell myself some more stuff, or what I know now, is that I was obsessive with checking the analytics on the videos every single day. And I was very, very discouraged because I was getting no views on these videos, and you want that kind of like instant, proof of success. And I don't know about y'all, but the whole YouTube world was new to me. I'm not someone that really consumes a lot of content on YouTube unless I need to go there to figure out how to fix something, or, watch an instructional video. So it was very strange to me. But yeah, I wanted that instant success of people watching me when I don't even consume content myself. So that's kind of funny.
Well, as someone that isn't like a native YouTube person, so I have been watching stuff on YouTube for years now, and I consider myself a consumer of the platform. Like, what have you learned about the platform being not a native to it?
Yeah. So, in the beginning, I thought the cooler you could have your intro, the better, right? And, I spent a lot of time trying to perfect, that little 20-second intro. I was like, oh, my logo looks so cool flying across the screen and spinning, great little music. And in that group, I learned, like, no, that is so wrong. Don't do that. That's definitely an old school way, because that first, 15 seconds of a video is so important. And if you're just not getting to the point and diving into it, you're losing your audience. And that's the most important piece, is growing that audience. I think another thing that I've learned along the way that I didn't know beforehand was how important it is for the YouTube algorithm to figure out who your audience is. And that might take time.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to rush that, because it's gold, right? So every time someone watches your video, YouTube is learning more about who that ideal audience is. And then they're serving your video up to people that are behaving and acting similarly on YouTube. And to get those organic views is everything. So I was very discouraged in the beginning, because 20, 30 people were watching a video after a few weeks of being out there. And that was very discouraging. But it was the realization that those vanity metrics numbers, how many people are watching, how many subscribers you have, means nothing if your phone's not ringing from people watching your videos and actually getting clients to work with. So
what I love,
what do you love, Tim? Tell me more about what you love.
Well, what I love about what Sarah just said is that, that 20 to 30 view thing. We're so used to Facebook and Instagram, where I have 5,000 friends on Facebook. And if I put a video out and only 30 people watch it, or say 100 people watch it, it's just like, man, I have 5,000 friends and this thing only got 100 views. Like, this, nobody must care, right?
Right.
And that's kind of the mentality we take. But we go to YouTube and you post a video and it gets 100 views. These are people that don't know you, right? You don't have a 5,000 friends on YouTube, right? You're starting out, you don't have any subscribers. The 100 views is actually fantastic, because that's 100 people that for some reason were interested in your video. And so I think, yeah, you definitely need to switch the way you think about those metrics a lot compared to other platforms. And so I love listening to that part of your journey.
My thing was like kind of on the first part of what you said, because I think we all made or had like a flying logo or an animated logo with like us walking down the street talking on our phone, or like just some real estate bullshit. And so like now, obviously, for the most part, that's something that's been preached for all videos. Like, you just got to get to the meat of what you're saying. What does your intro look like now? So like, are you saying, hey, this is what this video is about, whatever? Are you introducing yourself at all? Like, what does like a normal intro, like if you posted a video this week, what does your hook and intro kind of look like for a YouTube video in 2024?
So trying to have some catchy sentence or two at the beginning that relates to what the video topic is about, and then just getting right into explaining or going into the topic and talking about it. Usually after 3 or 4 sentences in the beginning, I mention my name, who I am, and then I just keep going right into the content. A thing early on was asking for subscribers and for people to like your video and smash that like button. That was the cool thing that YouTubers were doing. And one of the things I learned, and maybe the tide's kind of coming back around, but you do want to remind people to do those kind of things, but you just don't want to front load your videos with all of that stuff. And so that was, something that I learned in the journey. But the catchier you can make those first couple of sentences or tell a story to relate to what the video topic is about is so important. And I will say it's probably the hardest and most challenging part of making YouTube content. Maybe I should spend more time analyzing what those first 30 seconds of a video is like, but it's really something that we do put a little bit of effort into, but it's not something that I stress out about. And maybe if I had more time to stress out about it, I would.
Yeah.
And maybe the videos would be better. But we have a good thing. And one thing that I love about YouTube as a platform, whenever I was getting started in the beginning, seeing all these other agents that were having success, some of these agents' videos weren't that good, and they were really different. And so that was super inspiring to me, though, because I was like, hey, if people are connecting with this online and you're getting clients from this, I know that some people are going to connect with me. And so you're always going to have people that want to work with you and people that don't, but there's plenty of people out there to work with that are watching.
And I'm going to ask you a question that like you kind of just answered. But like, what advice would you give to an agent that say they're in the greater Atlanta area and they're like, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel. Like there's you and then many other people, right, that are already doing it. Did you have any of those thoughts? Even I think that 2019, 2020 was like still like early-ish for YouTube kind of,
Yeah.
But like what advice would you give to someone if they like hadn't really started and they want to go do YouTube today?
Yeah. So I'd say I have a little bit of the benefit of being an early adopter, but one of the people in the beginning, when I was going down this rabbit hole of trying to figure it out, they were saying that you should do SEO research, keyword research to find out how many people are searching moving to your town. And 20 people, so I live in Gainesville, Georgia, like an hour north of Atlanta. And at the time that I was doing this in 2020, 20 people a month were searching moving to my town.
Yeah.
And we had a little hype man back there for that one.
That's exciting.
So,
20 people. Yeah.
Well, so that was not my reaction. I
know.
that
Like
was
not a lot of
terrible.
people.
I was
Yeah.
like, 20 people, only 20 people. And I was hearing other people were having like way higher search results.
Yeah.
But I thought about that a little bit more and I'm like, well, I'm not working with 20 people currently each month. And if 20 people are searching for that information about moving to my town and I'm the only person or one of the few that pop up, that's a pretty high likelihood that they're going to watch my content. So that gave me the encouragement to do that. And I will say that now there's a lot of people making content in the Atlanta area. I think it's great because people are going to connect with different types of personalities and people, and there's plenty of business out there. I think I shared this at Real Estate Video Blueprint, but sometimes when I see in Facebook groups where moms will comment like, hey, I moved here from Chicago recently, or we're moving here in a few months and looking for recommendations on XYZ. We already have a real estate agent. I get so mad. I'm like, what? You didn't reach out to me? And then I realized like, okay, there are, thousands and thousands of real estate agents out there, and you're still plenty busy, and there's tons of business out there for everybody. So I would say, don't let that discourage you. And another thing that I've learned, a lot of agents don't have the discipline to do this week in and week out.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people get a lot of encouragement and they get started and then they fizzle out and they burn out because they don't get that instant success.
Yeah. No. So the things I'm hearing you say is like, people will be attracted to you and your personality, and it's probably going to be different from someone else that may already be doing this in your market. And then if you can stay consistent with it and really focus in on who you're talking to and your target audience, you're likely to get business as long as you stay consistent, because most people won't continue doing it after a few weeks. Tim, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to ask, I think a lot of people love the stories, that they love hearing all this. I kind of want to dig into what your production process looks like right now. Like what does making a video and putting it on YouTube and all that distribution look like for you?
So I'm very lucky in the fact that I had a really great assistant that was working with me whenever I came across this idea. Like a great assistant that she is, it's like, hey, we're going to try to do this. And she's like, okay, just tell me what to do. And so we really kind of learned this process together. So I had built-in help whenever I started this. But we really have learned this process and grown together. But what it looks like today is we have a monthly meeting on what we're going to do the next month. And so we do rotate through topics so that we're consistently hitting a topic every fourth week. So we have a meeting on what those titles are going to be and what we're going to cover. Sometimes those topics are like market of the moment type things that are happening or big news that's happening. And then a lot of times we get a lot of great inspiration from our clients that we're currently working with. They'll ask great questions, or they'll say, oh, I didn't know this about this. And I was like, oh, that would make for a great video. So we have that meeting. My assistant helps pull together an outline of talking points for that. We set that up. I film this. I'm here in my basement right now at my house. So I'm filming the video talking head style. My assistant is pulling together all the B-roll clips that go along with what the video is going to be about. We dump that all into a Google Drive folder, share that with our editor. She's communicating with our editor on getting that video back each week and making, changes and edits. My assistant's making the thumbnail, and she's also posting that to YouTube every single week. So really my only responsibility in the YouTube is helping with the ideas for content creation of what the topics are going to be, some of the content, and then actually filming the videos and then working with clients.
And so when you say finds the B-roll, like, do you guys have a B-roll library of things that you've like curated over the years, or what does that look like from a technical standpoint?
Yeah, that's a great point. So this is something that we figured out early on, because B-roll is a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
I guess we can cuss on here, right? Pain in the ass. So
Sarah has to be the sweetest guest we've had on the show.
I'm usually not this sweet, but I'm trying to be professional.
I like it.
So B-roll is incredibly hard. So in the beginning, we were filming it ourselves. Well, in the very beginning, it was stealing images off of Google and using that as B-roll. And then we got smart enough to know, like, okay, we actually need video footage because we're making a video, not a PowerPoint presentation. And so we would go out and get video on a gimbal. And then we kind of had the light bulb moment of, oh, if we're making this video about a certain town that we're covering, we're going to be making lots of other videos about this town as well in the coming months. So if you're going to spend the time to go out and get B-roll footage, you might as well get a bunch of it, more than what you're going to need for that particular video. Or if you're nearby something else that maybe you're not talking about, but it could be something in a future video, go ahead and get video footage of that. So that kind of cut down our process from having to go out every single week to get footage to like, oh, we can do this 1 or 2 days a month for the next 3 months and have everything that we need. So we dump all that into a Google Drive folder that we have organized by town, cut them into short little clips and label them that way. So now, after doing that every couple of months, we have a great little library, and sometimes we still have to go out and get footage. We've tried hiring this out to local videographers to help, and had varying degrees of success with that. So either one, it's been super expensive. I'm very cheap when it comes to spending money on stuff, maybe to a fault. And then the second thing is that sometimes, like, what they give you back, even though you think you've done such a great job at explaining what you need, what they give you back is like, not what you asked for. And so sometimes it's just felt like a waste. So that's been my experience. But if you can find, someone that can go capture this footage for you, and you can build a little library and only pay someone to go out, once a quarter, that would be the ideal way to do it.
Well, and I think that it's helpful, if you know what you need and you know what videos you're going to be shooting, if you're in that part of town or that community or that area or whatever it is, like, what you need. So it just keeping it all organized is super beneficial. And I feel like all of the people that I talk to, whether they have a videographer, whether they hire a videographer on a project basis, or if they're like getting it themselves or the team's getting it, like everyone that's successful at YouTube has some sort of process to have that B-roll library, because it's like you're going to be repeating things, you're going to be repeating areas, you're going to have different concepts around that. So getting all of that's super important. So I love kind of hearing that. And I also love hearing how you've leveraged the process out, because I know some people get to the point where they're bringing in a lot of business from YouTube and they're still shooting, editing, posting, and doing all of the stuff. And it's just, a huge burden on their time.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing that's not natural for me, that's taken me a while to learn, is the creative side of this, in the sense of you're around great B-roll opportunities all the time. You just have to like train your brain to think in that way. So, for example, frequently in our videos, we talk about driving to the Atlanta airport, traffic, how busy the airport is. Well, I fly in and out of Atlanta airport all the time, but for some reason it didn't register to me like, oh, I should be taking footage of the actual airport and how busy it is, so that we can put this in a video and show people actual B-roll of this. And you're constantly around opportunities to get stuff that's going to enhance your videos. You just have to train yourself to recognize those opportunities.
Yeah. I'll often keep like a running list, right? Of like, here are the things that like I want to talk about, or I'm talking about, or whatever, so that I can get the B-roll of driving to the airport or whatever it is when I'm there. Cause it's like, you just said you live an hour, north of the city, like driving down to get B-roll for one of your videos probably isn't the best use of your time. So like when you fly out would be a better use of time.
Yeah. So I live in a town that is the chicken capital of the world. And so there's a lot of chicken processing plants. So there's a lot of chicken farms like in the north part of the county. And so we talk about that a lot.
Google Maps.
Yeah. So we talk about that a lot in the videos. But you will see like a chicken truck like going through town. So, you get really excited when you see the chicken truck driving. I'm like, wait, hold on, put your phone out the window. We've got to get footage of this chicken truck driving through town. Things like that.
That's too funny.
You end up capturing really dumb stuff, but it's really relevant because you end up talking about all of these things.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
So tell me, now that we're on from chickens, or we can stay on chickens. I think it's a good topic. But what are you working on now that the YouTube channel's up and going? Like, what else do you have going on that you're working on right now?
So one of the questions over the years, we're now a good solid 3.5 years into making YouTube content. And while, over the past couple of years, people have asked like, oh, why don't you do Instagram, or why don't you do TikTok? And I'm like, y'all, it's all we can do to keep up with, the current schedule that we have, the current clients that we're working on, and maintain quality and sanity. So, I'm a big believer of master one thing. And then once you get all your systems in place and your leverage around that, then, adapt and try to, pivot to something else if you want. So we have been trying to do various different strategies on Instagram over the past year, and that has not worked at all.
What does that mean though? Like, what do you consider not working?
So meaning we have not been able to tie a lead directly to any social media content on Instagram. So we've tried repurposing, taking short clips from YouTube videos and putting that on as a reel. One of the things that we found that's really challenging about that is when you're making a long form video and you're going into detail about a town or a neighborhood, it's really hard to pull a good 20-second clip out of there that makes sense without the context around it. And so sometimes you can spend more time trying to cut something out of a video than it would just take you to just shoot that little 30-second video.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we've learned, is that that's really difficult to repurpose content with the types of things that we're talking about. We've tried sharing like local news, those sorts of things, and, adapting what Ken is doing in Orlando and Chris Colgan is doing in Virginia area. He's fantastic. Trying to emulate what some other creators are doing, and really just haven't been able to find anything consistently that is getting great views or pulling people in. Now, I have heard from our sphere and other agents of like, oh, your Instagram is great and I see you everywhere. So it's not as if there's not some purpose that's being served by this. It's just ultimately at the end of the day, you want to be able to tie that return on investment back to actual clients. And that's not something that we've been able to find.
I love that you actually do that because, when we're diving into this stuff, that's always the question Katie and I ask. And it's like, hey, how many like leads are you getting from Instagram? How many leads are you getting? How much business are you closing? And a lot of times the answer is, hey, my sphere brings it up. Other agents say they see it. So it's more of like a brand play. But I love that you're so laser focused on, did it generate business? And because I think a lot of us aren't laser focused on that enough.
Well, and so I think that it's very valid. Like it has its place and it has its purpose and it needs to be there. I just know that there's probably something different or better that we could be doing to get leads. And it's a journey to figure that out.
And here's the thing though, too, is like, I say this all the time, hands down, YouTube is the best platform to put out video content to get direct business, right? Like, I think it's like YouTube, then TikTok, then Instagram. And so, the people that we see that like have kind of cracked the code on Instagram is they've figured out that they may have a slightly different target audience on Instagram than they do on YouTube, right? So like yours may be more local people where you're looking for move up buyers as opposed to a relocation channel like your YouTube is, right? And so, that's what's interesting, right? Because like every platform is a little bit different. And so, as you said, like it's hard to just take your YouTube video, cut it up into 5 to 10, clips and be like, oh, here's great content for my Instagram, because like people that already live in Georgia maybe don't want to hear the stuff. So it's, I like what I've seen on your page as far as like your hyper local content, things that are happening, and stuff like that. But it's like, if you're going to add in more video content, like it's probably stuff you're going to have to shoot, batch shoot and have edited. It's not just cutting up your current videos kind of thing.
Let's talk about TikTok.
Yes. So surprisingly, TikTok is like the least effort that we've put into social media, kind of like an afterthought of like, oh, we put this on Instagram, we'll also throw it up on TikTok. And for a while there, I was somewhat consistently posting and then died off, and then started back again. Long story. But we got a 2 leads actually, like within a couple of weeks of each other. And we actually just closed our first TikTok deal. And I haven't posted on TikTok in a few months, just because of busyness of everything, and just got another lead from TikTok today. So it's very strange to me, like the most minimal effort that we've done. And yet we've been trying so hard on Instagram for a full year of consistently posting 5 days a week with good content, I think. And yet the scraps on TikTok have actually gotten us a deal. So I think to Katie's point, probably maybe the algorithms are very similar to YouTube in the sense that it can find those relocation people easier on TikTok than what that algorithm is kind of structured on Instagram. And so your content has to be different, I think, for different platforms, just like you said, Katie.
Yeah. I mean, I think with TikTok, you hear on YouTube or you see on YouTube, like where you'll have an old video pop, on occasion, right? And you'll be like, man, that video was from 2 years ago and someone's calling me saying they just watched that video. That's wild, right?
Right.
Instagram, it's like, it's a now platform, right? And so like sometimes you see a video pop. Like I have one that I probably posted like a month and a half ago that's getting like views and comments, and I'm like, I don't know where this is coming from or why it's popping. But like TikTok's algorithm is very similar to YouTube, and just like randomly an old video gets traction. And so if you didn't post in a few months, it's something where like I still get comments and saves and shares and remixes on videos that like I probably haven't posted in a very long time on TikTok, and I'm like getting notifications. I'm like, where are these coming from? So it's wild to see, how the different platforms work. But what I love about everything that you're saying is like that you're, as Tim said, that like you're tracking the ROI. You're like, okay, well, we need to have business coming from this type thing, because so many people are just like, oh, I'm just posting because I like creating content, and like they're not actually generating business. So I love to hear that.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things that was hard for me in the beginning to learn, when I was comparing myself to a lot of other agents that were on the same YouTube journey as me at the same time, and they were in bigger markets or maybe had more relocation markets based there, and they were getting tons of views on their videos, tons of subscribers, and it was really defeating. I was like, I feel like my videos are just as good as yours, and how come I'm not getting these same metrics? And then having conversations with these agents and learning more about their business, I realized, oh, I'm crushing it compared to them when it comes to actually working with clients. And so it shifted my mindset a lot of the views don't matter as much as, can you tie this back to actual business? Because that's what's paying my bills and supporting, the people that work with me.
Well, one of the things too is it's a healthy balance of, looking at what other people are doing, seeing something they're doing that's working, getting inspired by it, bringing it back, and making it your own. But I talk to agents all the time that are like, yeah, I can't do that because I'm not in a big relocation market. I can't do what they do because my market's different. And look, your market is different, but you should be laser focused on what you're doing. And if you let all that other comparison stuff kind of get into your head about what you're doing in your market, you'll go to that. You'll be like, oh, this doesn't work. But if you do what you did and just stay focused and stay committed to it and do it, like, you'll find a way to make it work in your market. There is a way for this to work in your market. It's not like people in Idaho don't go on YouTube. Everybody goes on YouTube. Like, it's not a it's a thing everywhere. So I do love that you kind of got caught in that. You dug a little deeper and found out, hey, I'm actually doing pretty well here.
I've talked to some agents that say, like you said, Tim, like, oh, I live in a much smaller market, that wouldn't work here. And people are moving everywhere. There's employers that are bringing people in or relocating, and these people don't know where they're moving to, and they're doing research online to try to find out more about it. And so, ultimately your amount of deals may not be the same, but you're also will get local impact as well, even though that's not the primary source of your business or viewers. So I think that, this strategy, hands down can work anywhere.
And I'm just going to shout out our girl Yasha, who just texted me that she had her second YouTube closing.
Oh,
And I bring her up because, like, she's not really doing, she's doing something that, I don't know, she's doing her own thing. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
She found something, she likes to do it. It's different, I think, than what other people are doing. And it's working for her. And so I think we get in analysis paralysis too much. And so that's my favorite thing, I think, from your story, is just committing to do it and making it happen.
I think one of the things that I learned at the Video Blueprint was there's lots of different ways to be successful on YouTube as a real estate agent. I forget the guy's name. You'll have to help me. They're in Austin.
Raj.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
Raj.
doing just the video tours. That blew my mind. He's not even on camera, and he's crushing it on YouTube. And I didn't even know that was possible. So what's cool is that there's lots of different ways to do this, lots of different personalities that have success, and you just have to commit to doing it and consistently showing up. I think another thing that is helpful for me is having an assistant or someone else that can watch back the video and give the feedback to the editor, so that you don't have to be the one doing that. Because that just kind of prevents you from like over analyzing, like, oh, why did I say it this way? Or I don't like the way I look on camera. I don't like the way I sound. You're never going to like it, So the least I have to watch myself on camera, the better. And I'm lucky that I have someone that can do that for me.
Yeah,
I'm definitely the king.
Why did I say that way? I shouldn't have said that. I should have said it this way. And then it's like, I never post it. So I feel you there.
I'm the king of getting in the way of things getting done. Katie knows. I'm like, oh, no. We should have shot this. Let's go back. Redo the whole thing. We got to fix the beginning.
Tim, did you notice that I reposted that Instagram video to add you as a collab?
You did?
And you didn't even accept it. So.
Well, I didn't notice. You didn't add me the first time. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm on it.
I got a DM.
Sarah. Yeah. She didn't add me as a collab. I'm like, what's going on? So one, like, thank you for coming all out to Houston and speaking at REVB. That was awesome. Thank you for coming on here and pouring out a lot of great information for agents. If you had something you wanted to leave people with, so they'll maybe go and take a little more action, what would it be?
I think at the end of the day, it's just do it and stop overthinking about things. You're making it way more complicated than what it actually is. If you go back on my channel and look at like one of the first videos that I made that's relocation based. So I still have those old crappy videos from Facebook still on there. But you can kind of see that shift of whenever I started making relocation based content, those videos were not good. And yet those first videos were the videos that people watched and called me on and bought, $700,000 houses on, and they thought they were talking to a celebrity, so it's just, we get in our own way, and you just have to commit to doing it and get out there and do it, and you'll naturally get better over time. So I would say just start.
For sure. I love that. And it's always fun for me to go to a YouTube page of someone who's successful with YouTube and click on their videos tab and go to oldest and look at some of those videos, because almost everyone has those terribly shot, little blurry, not completely focused type videos that like brought them business. And so, you just taking action is the name of the game. So thank you so much, Sarah. Appreciate it. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you again in person sometime soon.
Yeah, thank y'all for the opportunity, and it was great being here with you.